he is got the strongest device experience on the panel. He was with Infineon and also with Sendo and Siemens. And last but not the least, we have Amrita here from Microsoft, and she balances the panel out because she has had probably the most experience working with operators and as the business development leader for mobile. And we're going to do some mobile operator bashing, we can tell you in advance, and most of it will come from her. But this is to set the stage. We really want to make it useful, interactive, fun. We are not going to have any PowerPoints. We decided that we will not do that. We will engage you all through the panel rather than right at the end. And so if some of you has a burning question, a strong disagreement, just raise your hand. We'll try and get to you all through the panel as we can. We've broken up our panel into 3 sessions. The first session we want to explore a little bit about mobile web usage in India. And we have, thankfully, varying perspective on the panel. So you'll hear a diversity of views here. You should form your own opinions. Then we will talk a little bit about changes in the value chain, which hopefully is the most interesting part of this panel discussion, because there's lots happening that is going to happen this year and next year, which was not going to happen last year. And so we are definitely in a very interesting stage of the industry there. And then we'll round it off with a discussion on revenue models. What's the innovation in place? What do we expect will happen as we move forward? And that's the sum total of our panel. But why don't we start with a question? How about that? Question to you. The other way around. The question to you is, how many of you have a data plan? Let me flip that one. How many of you don't have a data plan? And among the ones who have a data plan, for those people who have a data plan, in how many cases it's being paid for by your office and not personally? So I think it's probably fair to say that 50% people here, only 50% are paying for some kind of a data plan. So with that, we'll do a quick round robin because we want to get a better sense of what the audience is like. And may I suggest, Samir, maybe you start from that end and then we go around. We'll ask you a question just to get a better sense of the audience and then dive into the topic.
My question would be, what do you use the mobile web for? What part of your internet or services usage has moved to the mobile web? Is it just mail? Do you actually actively you do a bunch of activity on the web, or what part of that activity has actually moved actively to the mobile, like on a regular basis? Not when you're traveling by train.
So I think he's wanting to know how many of you ever use search on your mobile. So how many of you have ever used search on your mobile? SMS search or okay, all right.
So I have another question, and this is related to the question Sharma asked earlier, which is there is how many users have a data plan, how many users don't have a data plan, how many of you don't know? How many of you don't know if you have a data plan?
What is a data plan?
That is, I think, something that is a key challenge in the industry. How many people know what data is, GPR is, etc. So I know not many hands were raised because you're supposed to know data facts. That is the question.
Yeah, so the question I would have is, it's interesting because we try to do correlation between people, the kinds of phones that people have versus how many of those people actually have data plans and who that audience would be. So how many people here would have phones that are worth more than 10,000 rupees? Most everybody. So it's interesting that only half people have data plans, but almost everyone has an expensive phone. As we sort of think about this now.
I actually have a few questions. One is to Sharad's earlier point about data plans. How many of you have the 99 rupees data plan? The only one. Okay, next
Most of them
question.
don't care because it's paid by them.
Second question. How often do you use the mobile web, GPRS basically, to check emails or download or for infotainment, anything? Is it daily, weekly, monthly? Daily, how many people? Okay, not bad. My last but not the least question here is, I have so many questions, I'm trying to figure out which one to ask.
Do you want us
Yeah,
to
let
Lalit
Lalit
and
ask
then
and I'll
come
come
back?
back.
Yeah, okay.
Similar to Amrita, I'll also try to take a liberty and ask 2 questions instead of 1.
Inflation is happening.
How many of you guys think that the user interface of your current mobile phone is not up to the standards?
What happens is using an iPhone and feel that why should I have that?
Another question. And not necessarily everybody is happy with iPhone user interface. I think that's what I read. So the next question, how many of you would really like free GPRS? That's not actually the end of the question. What would you use the free GPRS for? Twitter. Do you put it on browser? What do you do with it? How many of you use browser pricing?
I don't base on GPS. It's the speed which is the country.
So good point. I think this is a good point, and then you want to ask your residual question.
Yes, which is good that actually Lalit went ahead with his questions. It ties up to something that he was asking and also earlier point that Vinay was making. Many of you have very feature-rich phones, very feature-rich, expensive phones. How many of you use like even 5 of those features beyond calling and SMS?
You mean like Office? We don't use
Like Office application. Very curious to know about, there are a lot of embedded applications in many of those phones. A lot of, other interfaces available for doing a host of things that you can do on the same experience that you have on the PC. In a mini fashion.
May I reframe your question? How many of you would characterize yourselves as sophisticated mobile web users?
Mobile web user, VoIP user.
Right. Okay. So that probably that. May I ask Julian? Let's spend a little time talking about how is the Indian market a little different from the US market. What are the characteristics of the mobile web market here? I know Julian has done a lot of thinking about this, as have other panelists. May I start with you, Julian? And
Sure.
Have you shared your perspective first?
So, the Indian market, mobile market, and today I think I'm sure we're over 300 million in terms of mobile subscribers. The mobile internet number, as recorded by TRI, today is 66 million. So the number of people who have the ability to access the internet from their phone is 66 million. That's more than 1/4 of the entire mobile population. That's about 5% of the entire Indian population, but 1/4 of the mobile population in India. That's a large number.